Have you ever wondered how many extraordinary places still exist beyond the destinations that dominate travel magazines and social media feeds? Places where nature has remained authentic, where ancient traditions continue to shape everyday life, and where every mountain, every river, and every village tells a story that has endured for centuries. Most people searching for Indonesia dream about Bali. Others picture Komodo National Park, Mount Bromo, or Raja Ampat. They are magnificent places, and they deserve every bit of admiration they receive. But today, I want to take you somewhere different, somewhere quieter, somewhere rarely discussed outside Indonesia, somewhere that reminds us that true beauty does not compete for attention. Welcome to Ngada Regency. Hidden in the heart of Flores Island, within the province of East Nusa Tenggara, lies a land where clouds drift gently over volcanic mountains, where cool highland air replaces tropical heat, where forests protect ancient springs, and where communities have preserved traditions long before the modern world arrived. This is not just another destination on a map. This is one of Indonesia's hidden masterpieces. Ngada Regency covers approximately 1,620 square kilometers and is home to more than 171,000 people. Its administrative capital is Bajawa, a peaceful highland town that has become the cultural and geographical heart of the region. Yet numbers alone can never explain Ngada, because Ngada is not a place that can be understood through statistics. It must be experienced through its landscapes, through its people, through its silence, through the rhythm of life that moves at a pace many parts of the world have already forgotten. Positioned in the central region of Flores Island, Ngada occupies an extraordinary geographical setting. To the north stretches the vast Flores Sea, where blue waters meet dramatic coastlines shaped over thousands of years. To the south lies the Savu Sea, opening another gateway toward Indonesia's immense maritime world. To the east stands Ngada Regency. To the west lies East Manggarai Regency. These borders do far more than define administrative boundaries. They place Ngada at the crossroads of mountains, oceans, cultures, and ecosystems. It is a land embraced by two seas and surrounded by landscapes that constantly remind its people of nature's overwhelming power. From above, Ngada appears like an endless tapestry of green hills, volcanic ridges, deep valleys, winding rivers, and scattered villages connected by roads that twist through spectacular mountain scenery. Every journey here becomes part of the adventure itself. There are few straight roads, few flat horizons. Instead, every turn reveals another breathtaking panorama. Every climb rewards travelers with views that stretch beyond imagination. Unlike many regions where development has transformed the natural landscape, Ngada still feels wonderfully untouched. Its mountains dominate the skyline, its forests remain vital sources of life, its villages continue to exist in harmony with the environment that has sustained generations. Perhaps that is why arriving in Ngada feels less like entering a tourist destination and more like stepping into another era, an era where nature still sets the rules. One of the most remarkable characteristics of Ngada is its terrain. Much of the Regency is defined by rolling hills and steep mountainous landscapes. Nearly half of the region consists of gentle to moderate slopes, while large portions rise even more dramatically across rugged volcanic terrain. These elevations shape everything. They influence where people build their homes. They determine how farmers cultivate their land. They guide rivers toward the sea. They even create the refreshing climate that makes Bajawa one of the coolest places in East Nusa Tenggara. Unlike the image many people have of eastern Indonesia as endlessly hot and dry, Ngada offers a different experience. Temperatures generally range between 15 and 30 degrees Celsius. Morning mist often blankets the valleys. The air feels crisp. Even during the day, cool mountain breezes drift across villages and forests, offering relief rarely found in tropical regions. This climate has become one of Ngada's greatest natural gifts. It supports agriculture, it nourishes forests, it provides comfortable living conditions, and it creates landscapes unlike almost anywhere else in Indonesia. Yet these mountains offer far more than beautiful scenery. They are also the source of life itself. Water. Across Ngada, countless springs emerge from densely forested highlands. These forests act as giant natural reservoirs. Their roots capture rainfall, their soil stores groundwater, their vegetation protects fragile ecosystems that have sustained local communities for generations. Without these forests, the rivers below would weaken, agriculture would struggle, entire villages would face enormous challenges. Nature here functions as one perfectly balanced system. Every tree matters, every spring matters, every mountain matters. The rivers flowing through Ngada eventually find their way toward both the northern and southern coasts. Some contribute to the Isessa River Basin, one of the important watershed systems in Flores. These waterways have shaped valleys, nourished farmland, and connected communities for centuries. Long before paved roads reached remote villages, rivers often served as natural guides across the landscape. Even today, they continue to provide water for agriculture, households, and ecosystems that depend upon their constant flow. As you travel deeper into Ngada, one realization becomes impossible to ignore. Nothing here exists in isolation. The mountains protect the forests protect the water sustains the people, and the people in return understand that protecting nature is not simply an environmental responsibility, it is a way of ensuring their own future. That understanding has allowed Ngada to preserve much of its natural beauty, despite the rapid changes taking place across many parts of the world. Then there is the climate. Ngada experiences two distinct seasons. The dry season generally lasts from May through October, with August becoming the driest month of the year. During this period, golden grasslands spread across hillsides beneath brilliant blue skies. The landscape transforms into a striking combination of earthy browns, deep greens, and endless horizons. It is a beauty born not from lush abundance alone, but from contrast. Then comes the rainy season. From November until April, clouds gather over the mountains. Rain nourishes forests and farmland. Streams become stronger. Waterfalls awaken. The valleys grow greener with every passing week. By January and February, rainfall reaches its peak, often exceeding 250 millimeters in a single month. Across an entire year, Ngada typically receives between 1,300 and 1,900 millimeters of rainfall, spread over approximately 80 to 140 rainy days. This seasonal rhythm has shaped life here for countless generations. Farmers know when to plant, communities know when to harvest. Nature follows its own ancient calendar, one that existed long before modern clocks and digital forecasts. Living in Ngada means understanding that survival has always depended on respecting these natural cycles rather than trying to control them. And perhaps that is one of the greatest lessons this remarkable region offers the modern world. We often measure progress by how much we can conquer nature, but in Ngada, true wisdom has always come from learning how to live alongside it. Every sunrise over the mountains, every cloud drifting through the valleys, every flowing spring, every changing season, they remind us that humanity is not separate from nature. We are part of it, and in places like Ngada, that truth is still beautifully alive. For centuries, the people of Ngada have awakened to the same breathtaking panorama. The first light of dawn slowly spills across volcanic ridges. Mist rises from deep valleys like a living sea of clouds. Birdsong echoes through forests that have stood for generations. Fresh mountain air fills every breath. Long before engines begin to hum or roads become busy, nature has already started another day. It is a peaceful rhythm that has shaped countless lives. Yet the true soul of Ngada is not found only in its mountains or rivers. It lives within its people. Behind every village, every family, and every tradition is a story that stretches back hundreds of years. Ngada is home to three major ethnic communities: the Bajawa people, the Nagakeo people, and the Ryung people. Each community possesses its own unique customs, cultural identity, language variations, traditional knowledge, and history. Together, they form a rich cultural mosaic that makes Ngada one of the most fascinating regions on Flores Island. Although every community has developed its own distinct identity, they share something far greater: a profound respect for their ancestors, a deep connection to the land, and an understanding that culture is not simply something remembered, it is something lived every single day. Across Ngada, traditions are not locked away inside museums. They remain part of everyday life. Children grow up hearing ancestral stories passed down from grandparents. Ceremonies continue to unite entire communities. Traditional houses still stand proudly against the backdrop of volcanic mountains. Ancient customs continue to guide important moments of life, from birth to marriage, from planting crops to celebrating harvests. In many parts of the world, modernization has slowly erased local traditions. Languages disappear, historic villages become abandoned, generations lose touch with their cultural roots. But in Ngada, culture continues to breathe. It evolves without losing its identity. That balance between preserving the past while embracing the future is one of the region's greatest strengths. The landscape itself has helped protect this heritage. For centuries, the mountainous terrain naturally connected communities while also allowing them to develop unique traditions. Every valley became home to stories. Every village carried its own wisdom. Every generation added another chapter without forgetting those who came before. Perhaps that is why visitors often describe Ngada as feeling timeless, not because time has stopped, but because history is still visible. It exists in the architecture, it exists in the language, it exists in ceremonies, it exists in the daily lives of ordinary people. The capital town of Bajawa perfectly reflects this harmony. Perched within the cool highlands, Bajawa offers an atmosphere unlike many other towns in eastern Indonesia. Instead of scorching heat, visitors are welcomed by refreshing mountain air. Instead of endless traffic, they discover peaceful roads surrounded by green hills. Instead of towering skyscrapers, the landscape is dominated by volcanic peaks and open skies. Bajawa serves as the administrative centre of Ngada, but it is much more than a government town. It is the gateway to understanding the region itself. From here, roads wind toward remote villages, fertile farmland, forested mountains, and dramatic viewpoints that reveal just how extraordinary this landscape truly is. Agriculture remains one of the foundations of life throughout the Regency. The fertile volcanic soils, created over thousands of years, support a wide variety of crops. Combined with cool temperatures and dependable rainfall, these highlands provide favourable conditions for farming that many other parts of East Nusa Tenggara cannot easily match. Fields become expressions of patience. Farmers understand every season. They read the clouds. They observe the winds. They know when rain will nourish their crops and when dry months will test their resilience. Their knowledge is not written inside textbooks. It has been passed from one generation to the next through experience, observation, and respect for nature. This relationship between people and the land reveals something increasingly rare in today's fast-changing world. Success here is measured not only by harvests, it is measured by sustainability. Families understand that exhausting the land today means taking opportunities away from future generations. So the mountains continue to be protected. The forests continue to be respected. The springs continue to be valued. Because every natural resource represents a promise to tomorrow. Ngada's position between the Flores Sea in the north and the Savu Sea in the south also gives the region remarkable ecological diversity. Although much of the Regency is known for its mountainous interior, its connection to two different coastlines creates an extraordinary variety of environments. From cool volcanic highlands to coastal ecosystems, Ngada demonstrates how diverse a single region of Indonesia can truly be. This diversity supports countless species of plants and wildlife while providing different opportunities for local communities. Nature here refuses to fit into a single definition. It is constantly changing. One moment you are surrounded by towering hills covered in green vegetation. A short journey later, the horizon opens toward the vast blue sea. Every kilometre feels like entering another world. And perhaps that is one reason Flores Island continues to captivate travellers from around the globe. It refuses to be predictable. Ngada embodies this spirit perfectly. Its beauty is not loud. It does not overwhelm visitors with giant resorts or crowded entertainment districts. Instead, it slowly earns admiration. The longer you stay, the more you notice. The quiet confidence of its mountains, the purity of its rivers, the kindness of its communities, the resilience of its traditions, the peaceful rhythm of daily life. These are the qualities that leave lasting memories, not because they demand attention, but because they touch something much deeper. In an age when many people chase destinations simply to collect photographs, Ngada offers something infinitely more valuable: perspective. It reminds us that the greatest journeys are not always measured by distance. Sometimes they are measured by understanding. Understanding that prosperity is not always defined by skyscrapers, that happiness does not require constant noise, that progress does not have to erase identity. Ngada quietly proves that a community can preserve its heritage while continuing to move forward. It proves that development and tradition do not have to stand on opposite sides. They can grow together, like roots and branches of the same ancient tree. And perhaps that is exactly what the world needs to remember, because every culture preserved is another chapter of humanity protected from being forgotten. Every forest standing is another promise that clean water will continue to flow. Every tradition passed to the next generation is another victory against the passage of time. Ngada may not always appear on international headlines. It may never become the busiest destination in Indonesia, but perhaps that is its greatest blessing. Its beauty remains authentic. Its landscapes remain peaceful. Its identity remains unmistakably its own. There are still places on earth where life moves with nature instead of against it. Ngada is one of those rare places, and that alone makes it extraordinary. There is something remarkable that happens when you spend enough time in a place like Ngada. At first you notice the scenery, the mountains, the valleys, the winding roads, the cool air that feels refreshingly different from the tropical heat many people expect in eastern Indonesia. But after a while, your attention begins to shift. You stop looking only at the landscape. You begin to notice the people who have lived in harmony with that landscape for generations. You begin to understand that the greatest treasure of Ngada is not simply its geography. It is the relationship between its people and the land they call home. For countless generations, families here have understood something that much of the modern world is only beginning to rediscover. Nature is not merely a resource, it is a partner. The forests are not obstacles waiting to be cleared, they are guardians of water. The mountains are not barriers, they are protectors of life. The rivers are not just streams flowing toward the sea, They are lifelines connecting communities, nourishing farmland, and sustaining ecosystems that support both people and wildlife. This philosophy has shaped every aspect of life across the Regency. It has influenced where villages were built, how fields were cultivated, how forests were respected, how water was shared, how communities cooperated during both times of abundance and times of hardship. Perhaps that is why resilience has become one of Ngada's defining characteristics. Life in a mountainous region has never been easy. Roads must climb steep hills. Weather can change quickly. Agriculture depends on seasonal rainfall. Distance often separates villages. Yet, rather than seeing these challenges as obstacles, generations of local people transformed them into opportunities to strengthen cooperation. Neighbours help one another. Families work together. Communities gather not only during celebrations, but also during difficult times. That spirit of solidarity has allowed Ngada to endure through changing centuries. Empires came and went. Governments changed. Technology transformed the world. Yet the essential values of togetherness, respect, and responsibility have remained deeply rooted. This resilience reflects something larger than history. It reflects character. Character that cannot be purchased. Character that cannot be built overnight. Character that is shaped slowly through generations of shared experience. And perhaps that is why visitors often leave Ngada with more than beautiful photographs. They leave carrying lessons. Lessons about patience. Lessons about gratitude. Lessons about living with purpose rather than speed. In today's world, many people measure success through constant movement, faster communication, faster transportation, faster careers, faster lifestyles. Every year seems to demand greater speed than the year before. But standing on a hillside in Ngada, watching clouds drift across volcanic peaks, time feels different. The mountains are in no hurry. The rivers do not rush to prove themselves. The forests grow quietly. The seasons arrive exactly when they should. Nature teaches that lasting greatness is rarely built in haste. The tallest trees spend decades reaching toward the sky. The richest soil develops over centuries. The strongest communities are shaped across generations. Perhaps human life follows the same truth. The most meaningful achievements are not always the quickest. They are the ones built with patience, integrity, and consistency. Ngada reminds us of this every single day. Its quiet beauty challenges the modern belief that everything valuable must also be loud. Sometimes greatness whispers. Sometimes the most extraordinary places are those that never compete for attention. There is also something deeply symbolic about Ngada's location. Standing between the Flores Sea to the north and the Savu Sea to the south, the Regency occupies a landscape where land and ocean exist in constant dialogue. The mountains collect rain from passing clouds. The forests protect the springs. The rivers carry fresh water toward both coastlines. Everything is connected. Nothing exists alone. This interconnectedness extends beyond geography. Culture, environment, history, and community all depend upon one another. Remove one element and the balance begins to change. Protect them together and the entire region thrives. It is an important reminder for the world. Progress should never mean sacrificing the very foundations that make a place unique. Economic growth matters, infrastructure matters, education matters, healthcare matters, but preserving identity matters just as much. Because once a culture disappears, no amount of money can recreate it. Once an ancient forest is lost, centuries cannot simply be replaced. Once traditional knowledge vanishes, humanity loses wisdom that took generations to develop. Ngada quietly demonstrates that development and preservation can move forward together. The challenge is not choosing one over the other. The challenge is finding the wisdom to protect both. Indonesia is often celebrated for its extraordinary diversity. More than 17,000 islands, hundreds of ethnic groups, hundreds of local languages, an astonishing range of ecosystems stretching from snow-capped mountains to tropical rainforests and coral reefs. Ngada represents this diversity beautifully. Within one regency, visitors encounter cool volcanic highlands, fertile agricultural landscapes, coastal environments, rich cultural traditions, and communities whose identities have been shaped by both geography and history. It is a reminder that Indonesia cannot be understood through a single destination. Every island tells a different story. Every province offers a different perspective. Every regency preserves its own chapter of the nation's remarkable heritage. And Ngada's chapter deserves to be heard, not because it seeks recognition, but because its story reflects universal values: respect for nature, respect for family, respect for tradition, respect for future generations. These are values that transcend nationality. They belong to humanity itself. Imagine a child growing up in Ngada. Every morning begins beneath towering mountains. Fresh spring water flows from nearby highlands. The changing seasons become the first classroom. Parents and grandparents pass down stories that connect the child to ancestors they never met. The land itself becomes a teacher. That child grows up understanding something that cannot easily be learned from a screen. Everything in life is connected. People depend on forests. Forests depend on rain. Rain depends on healthy ecosystems. Communities depend on one another. Perhaps if more of the world remembered these simple truths, many of our greatest challenges would become easier to solve. Because sustainability is not simply about protecting nature, it is about protecting ourselves, protecting the future, protecting the generations who will inherit the choices we make today. Ngada may appear as a small dot on the map of Indonesia, but its lessons are enormous. Its mountains remind us to stand strong. Its rivers remind us to keep moving forward. Its forests remind us to protect what gives us life. Its people remind us that true wealth is measured not only by what we build, but also by what we preserve. And perhaps that is why places like Ngada matter so much. They remind the world that even in an age of rapid change, there are still communities proving that harmony between humanity and nature is not an impossible dream. It is a way of life that has endured for generations, and one that may hold some of the answers for our future. As the journey through Ngada continues, another realization begins to emerge. This regency is not simply defined by where it is defined by what it represents. It represents resilience in a world that often celebrates convenience. It represents balance in a time when excess has become the norm. It represents authenticity in an age where appearances frequently matter more than substance. There are places that impress you the moment you arrive. Their beauty is immediate. Their attractions are obvious. Their fame speaks long before you ever set foot there. Ngada is different. It reveals itself slowly. The more time you spend here, the more layers you discover. Its greatest wonders are not designed to entertain, they are designed by nature itself. Every sunrise carries a different shade of light across the mountains. Every afternoon brings clouds rolling gently over the hills. Every evening paints the horizon with colors that no artist could ever fully capture. Nothing is repeated. Every day feels like a new masterpiece. This is one of the greatest gifts that untouched landscapes offer. They remind us that nature never creates copies. Every moment exists only once. Perhaps that is why travelers who truly appreciate places like Ngada rarely remember only the destinations they visited. Instead, they remember the feeling of breathing crisp mountain air, the silence broken only by birds, and the distant sound of flowing water, the warmth of conversations with local people, the sense that life does not always need to move at an exhausting pace. Modern civilization has achieved incredible progress. We have built towering cities, connected continents through technology, sent spacecraft beyond our planet, created innovations that previous generations could hardly imagine. Yet, despite all these achievements, millions of people continue searching for something they cannot find inside crowded streets or glowing screens: peace. Places like Ngada remind us where that peace still exists. Not because life here is free from challenges. Every community faces difficulties. Every family experiences hardships. Every generation encounters uncertainty. But the surrounding environment encourages a different perspective. Instead of competing endlessly against nature, people learn to cooperate with it. Instead of measuring success solely through material wealth, many still value relationships, traditions, and community. There is wisdom in that simplicity. It teaches us that happiness is often built from ordinary moments rather than extraordinary possessions. A shared meal with family, neighbors helping one another during harvest, children laughing as they walk home from school, morning mist drifting through the valleys, the first rays of sunlight touching the mountain peaks. These moments may seem small, yet together they create a life rich with meaning. That is something no luxury can replace. Ngada also reminds us that geography shapes identity. Its mountains have influenced architecture. Its climate has influenced agriculture. Its rivers have influenced settlement patterns. Its forests have influenced beliefs about protecting nature. Its location between two seas has influenced trade, movement, and cultural exchange throughout history. The land and its people have grown together. Neither can be fully understood without the other. This relationship is visible everywhere. Fields follow the contours of the hills. Roads curve around volcanic slopes. Villages settle where fresh water remains dependable. Daily routines adapt to changing seasons. Rather than forcing nature to submit, generations have learned to adapt with remarkable intelligence. This approach has allowed communities to thrive despite difficult terrain. It also demonstrates an important truth. The strongest civilizations are not always those that dominate their environment. Often, they are those that understand it. Across the world, environmental challenges continue to grow. Forests disappear. Water sources become increasingly vulnerable. Climate patterns grow less predictable. These realities remind us that protecting natural ecosystems is no longer simply an environmental issue. It is an issue of survival. Ngada offers an inspiring example of why healthy landscapes matter. The forests of the highlands capture rainfall. The springs provide clean water. The rivers sustain agriculture. The fertile volcanic soil supports livelihoods. Every part of the ecosystem contributes to the well-being of the people. When one element is protected, the entire system benefits. It is a lesson that extends far beyond Indonesia. It is relevant for every nation on Earth, because regardless of where we live, humanity ultimately depends upon the same natural foundations: clean water, healthy forests, stable climates, fertile land. Without them, no amount of technology can fully replace what nature freely provides. As more travelers begin exploring destinations beyond the world's famous landmarks, regions like Ngada have an opportunity to inspire a different kind of tourism. Not tourism driven only by photographs, but tourism driven by understanding. Visitors who come here discover more than scenic viewpoints. They discover living culture. They discover communities that continue to honor traditions while embracing the future. They discover landscapes that encourage reflection rather than distraction. This kind of travel changes people. It reminds us that every destination has a story. Every village has memories. Every mountain has witnessed generations of human history unfolding beneath its slopes. When we travel with curiosity, instead of simply seeking entertainment, we become students of the world. Ngada is one of those places that rewards curiosity. The deeper you explore, the richer the experience becomes. You begin noticing details that would otherwise go unnoticed. The careful way fields are cultivated, the resilience required to live among mountainous terrain, the harmony between villages and forests, the quiet confidence of communities that know exactly who they are. Identity is one of the greatest strengths any society can possess, and the Ngada has never needed to imitate anyone else. Its identity was shaped by its own history, its own geography, its own people, its own traditions. That authenticity is increasingly rare. Perhaps that is why it feels so refreshing. In a rapidly globalizing world where cities often begin to resemble one another, places like Ngada remind us that diversity is one of humanity's greatest treasures. Every language spoken, every cultural tradition preserved, every local custom practiced, every story passed from one generation to the next. Together, they create the extraordinary richness that makes our world worth exploring. If these traditions disappear, the world becomes smaller, less colourful, less interesting, less human. That is why preserving cultural heritage is not only the responsibility of local communities, it is a responsibility shared by all of us, because every culture represents another way of understanding life, another way of solving problems, another way of appreciating the world. Ngada continues to protect those perspectives, not by resisting change, but by ensuring that change never erases its soul. That may be one of its greatest achievements, and perhaps one of its greatest gifts to the world. Because in the end, the true measure of progress is not how much of our past we abandon, it is how wisely we carry the best of that past into the future. Ngada has been doing exactly that for generations, quietly, gracefully, without asking the world for recognition, yet deserving every bit of admiration it receives. There is a saying that the greatest journeys are the ones that change the way we see the world, not because they take us to the tallest mountains or the most luxurious destinations, but because they quietly reshape the way we think. Ngada has that power. It does not demand your attention, it earns it. The longer you stay, the more you realize that this regency is not trying to become somewhere else. It is proud of what it already is. And perhaps that confidence is one of the most inspiring qualities any place can possess. In many parts of the world, communities struggle to preserve their identity while adapting to rapid change. Modern technology connects people across continents. Global markets influence local economies. Social media spreads ideas within seconds. These transformations bring countless opportunities, but they also create new challenges. How do you embrace the future without losing your roots? How do you welcome progress without forgetting the wisdom of previous generations? Ngada offers a meaningful answer. Its communities continue to move forward while holding tightly to the values that define them. The past is not viewed as something outdated. It is seen as the foundation upon which the future is built. Every generation inherits more than land or property. They inherit stories. They inherit responsibility. They inherit the duty to protect both nature and culture for those who will come after them. That sense of stewardship is one of the greatest forms of wealth any society can possess, because true prosperity is not measured only by what we consume, it is measured by what we leave behind. Will future generations inherit healthy forests? Will they inherit clean rivers? Will they inherit vibrant traditions and living languages? Or will they inherit only photographs of what once existed? These questions matter everywhere, but in places like Ngada, they are answered through action rather than words. The surrounding mountains continue to stand as silent witnesses to this commitment, season after season, year after year, generation after generation. They have watched children become parents, parents become grandparents, villages grow and change, roads improve, schools expand, new opportunities emerge. Yet through all these changes, the landscape continues to remind people of something constant. Some values should never be abandoned. Respect, responsibility, gratitude. These principles may sound simple, yet they are powerful enough to shape entire civilizations. Imagine standing on one of Ngada's high ridges just before sunrise. The world is still quiet. The sky slowly changes from deep blue to shades of orange and gold. Clouds drift gently through the valleys below. The cool morning air carries the scent of earth, trees, and fresh mountain water. For a brief moment, nothing demands your attention. No notifications, no deadlines, no endless stream of information competing for your focus. Only silence, only nature. Only the awareness that this beautiful planet still holds places capable of restoring the human spirit. Perhaps that is why landscapes like Ngada are more valuable today than ever before. Not simply because they are beautiful, but because they remind us of what we risk losing if we forget how deeply connected we are to the natural world. Every forest cleared without care, every river polluted, every ecosystem neglected, every tradition forgotten. These losses cannot easily be reversed. Protecting places like Ngada is therefore about far more than conservation. It is about protecting living classrooms where future generations can continue learning from nature itself. Because nature remains one of humanity's greatest teachers. The mountains teach patience. They do not rise overnight. The rivers teach perseverance. They continue flowing despite every obstacle placed in their path. The forests teach cooperation. Every tree depends upon an entire ecosystem invisible beneath the soil. The changing seasons teach resilience. Every dry period eventually gives way to renewal. Every rainfall brings new life. These lessons exist all around us. We simply have to slow down long enough to notice them. Ngada encourages exactly that. It invites people to observe rather than rush, to appreciate rather than consume, to understand rather than merely look. Perhaps that is why those who visit often leave carrying something invisible, not souvenirs, not luxury purchases, but perspective. Perspective changes everything. It changes how we define success, how we value community, how we understand nature, how we think about the future. And sometimes a single shift in perspective can transform an entire life. Indonesia is a nation blessed with astonishing diversity, from the rainforests of Sumatra to the volcanic landscapes of Java, from the coral reefs of Raja Ampat to the ancient cultures of Sulawesi, from the towering peaks of Papua to the islands of East Nusa Tenggara. Every region contributes another piece to one of the world's richest cultural and natural mosaics. Ngada is one of those precious pieces, perhaps not the largest, perhaps not the most famous, but unquestionably one of the most meaningful. Because greatness has never depended upon size. Some of the world's most extraordinary places are also its quietest. They do not seek headlines. They do not chase trends. They simply remain true to themselves. That authenticity becomes their greatest strength. As travelers, explorers, storytellers, and global citizens, we have a choice. We can visit places only to take from them, or we can visit with humility, learning from the communities who have protected these landscapes for generations. The second path creates something far more valuable: mutual respect, cultural appreciation, shared understanding. These connections enrich not only the places we visit, but also the people we become. Perhaps one day, someone watching this story will decide to travel beyond the familiar, to leave behind crowded itineraries, to explore destinations whose greatest attractions cannot be measured by ticket sales or social media popularity. If that journey leads them to Ngada, they will discover something extraordinary. Not because everything is perfect, no place is, but because authenticity still lives here. The mountains remain majestic, the forests continue to breathe, the rivers continue to flow, the seasons continue their timeless rhythm, the people continue preserving traditions that have endured through centuries of change. And together, they create something increasingly rare in the modern world, a place where humanity and nature still move forward side by side. So when you look at a map of Indonesia, do not let your eyes stop only at the destinations everyone already knows. Look a little deeper, beyond the famous names, beyond the crowded beaches, beyond the postcards. You may discover places like Ngada, places that do not ask for your admiration, yet somehow earn it completely. Because the true heart of a nation is often found not in the places that shout the loudest, but in the places that quietly preserve its soul. And in the cool highlands of Flores, surrounded by mountains, embraced by two seas, and sustained by generations of resilient people, Ngada continues to do exactly that. It stands as a reminder that the greatest treasures on earth are not always the ones the whole world is talking about. Sometimes they are the ones patiently waiting for the world to finally listen. And perhaps that is where the story of Ngada becomes something much greater than the story of a single regency. It becomes the story of humanity itself. Across every continent, every civilization has been shaped by the land beneath its feet. Great rivers gave birth to ancient kingdoms. Towering mountains protected communities for centuries. Fertile valleys nourished generations. The environment has always been far more than a backdrop to human history. It has been one of its greatest authors. Ngada is another chapter in that remarkable story. Its mountains have shaped its people. Its climate has influenced its way of life. Its forests have protected the springs that sustain entire communities. Its rivers have carved pathways through valleys long before modern roads ever existed. Everything here reminds us that geography is not simply about maps, it is about destiny. Every landscape influences the choices people make. Every season teaches adaptation. Every natural challenge inspires innovation. That is why no two regions on Earth are exactly alike. Each develops its own character, its own wisdom, its own identity. Ngada is no exception. For generations, the people who call this land home have demonstrated that resilience is not built through comfort, it is built through perseverance. Living among volcanic highlands requires determination. Farming on sloping terrain demands patience. Protecting forests requires responsibility. Maintaining traditions requires commitment. These are not accomplishments achieved overnight. They are the result of countless ordinary people making extraordinary choices every single day. That is the true definition of resilience, not dramatic moments of heroism, but quiet acts of dedication repeated across generations. There is an important lesson hidden within that idea. Many people believe history is shaped only by famous leaders, powerful nations, or world-changing inventions. But history is also written by farmers tending their fields, parents teaching their children, communities protecting their forests, neighbors helping one another through difficult seasons. These ordinary actions create extraordinary civilizations. Ngada stands as living proof. As the years continue to pass, the world will inevitably change. Technology will become even more advanced. Transportation will become faster. Artificial intelligence will reshape industries. Cities will continue to expand. Entire economies will transform. But no matter how sophisticated humanity becomes, one truth will remain unchanged. People will always need clean water, healthy forests, fertile soil, stable climates, strong communities. Without these foundations, no civilization can truly flourish. Ngada reminds us not to take those foundations for granted. The springs flowing from its mountains are not merely beautiful, they are essential. The forests covering its hillsides are not simply scenic, they are life support systems. The fertile land beneath its farms is not merely productive, it is the result of thousands of years of natural processes working together in perfect balance. Understanding this changes the way we see the world. Instead of viewing nature as something separate from human progress, we begin to recognize that it is the very foundation upon which all progress depends. This realization has never been more important than it is today. Across the globe, conversations about sustainability have become increasingly urgent. Climate change, water security, biodiversity, food resilience. These are no longer distant concerns. They are realities that affect every nation. Places like Ngada offer valuable inspiration because they demonstrate how closely human well-being is connected to environmental stewardship. Protecting forests protects water. Protecting water protects agriculture. Protecting agriculture protects communities. Everything is connected. Perhaps the greatest mistake humanity has ever made is believing that we stand above nature. The truth is much simpler. We stand within it. Every breath we take comes from healthy ecosystems. Every meal depends on functioning landscapes. Every future generation depends on the decisions we make today. Ngada quietly illustrates these truths without speeches or slogans. Its mountains speak through their permanence. Its rivers speak through their movement. Its forests speak through their silence. And if we are willing to listen, they have much to teach. There is another reason why stories like this deserve to be shared. Around the world, countless remarkable places remain largely unknown beyond their own regions. Not because they lack beauty, not because they lack history, but because attention often concentrates on only a handful of famous destinations. Yet the soul of a country is rarely found in just one place. It exists across hundreds of communities, thousands of villages, millions of lives, each contributing something unique to the national identity. Ngada is one of those priceless contributions. It represents the incredible diversity that makes Indonesia one of the most extraordinary nations on Earth. A nation where no single island can tell the entire story. No single culture can represent everyone. No single landscape defines the whole country. Instead, Indonesia is a magnificent collection of different worlds living together under one flag. Ngada enriches that collection with its cool highlands, resilient communities, living traditions, and remarkable natural landscapes. Its story deserves to travel far beyond Flores Island, not because fame is important,